Welcome once again to this study of the measure of a man. I do trust you've had opportunity to read Chapter 1 carefully, and if you haven't, please read the chapters before you meet with another man or a group of men. Obviously, the more prepared you are, the more you'll learn. You'll note that in this chapter I have given an overview of the qualities of maturity that were outlined by the Apostle Paul in his letters to Timothy and Titus. In fact, in a moment, I'd like to review this list. But before I do, let me underscore something you already know. It takes time to become the men God wants us to become. I first studied these qualities in depth years ago. But let me be honest, every time I go over this list, such as right now, I'm challenged anew in some particular area of my life. With this thought in mind, let's do a quick review. In both 1 Timothy and Titus, Paul referred to a man who is above reproach. As we'll see, this does not refer to perfection, which would be an impossible goal in this life. It simply means a man with a good reputation. Paul next in both letters outlines how to develop this good reputation. The first quality is being the husband of one wife. In essence, Paul was referring to being a man who has only one woman in his life, his wife. In other words, he's morally pure, both as a single man or if he's married. Being temperate refers to a man who is firm and steady in his faith, not someone who is tossed here and there by every wind of doctrine, as Paul wrote to the Ephesians. Prudent refers to being wise and humble, not thinking of ourselves more highly than we ought to think, as Paul wrote to the Romans. A respectable man is a good role model in all that he does. He is, as the word implies, respected. A hospitable man is unselfish and generous with his material possessions and his time and his talents. To be able to teach refers to far more than it sounds. This kind of man communicates sensitively and is not threatened by those who may disagree with him. Not addicted to wine really applies to an addiction of any kind. We should not be in bondage to anything. A mature man is not self-willed. By contrast, a self-willed man is self-centered and controlling. A mature man is not quick-tempered. This is closely related to not being self-willed. We must understand, of course, that not all anger is sinful, but a quick-tempered man engages in anger that is sinful. A mature man is not pugnacious. By contrast, a pugnacious man is abusive, emotionally and physically. A mature man is a gentle man, a man who is sensitive, loving, and kind. A peaceable man is not argumentative and is not divisive, stirring up arguments. A man who's free from the love of money doesn't mean that he's free from money, but he's free from the love of money. There's a huge difference. A man who manages his own household well refers to a godly husband and a good father. A man who loves what is good pursues godly activities. A just man is wise, discerning, non-prejudiced, and fair in all his relationships. The word devout actually refers to being holy, a man who is devoted to God. And finally, a man who is reflecting Christ is self-controlled. That is, he's a man who demonstrates self-discipline. These qualities are, in essence, what this study is all about. They're indeed the true measure of a man, which can be very daunting. How, you say, can any man measure up? Well, let me say it once again. These are qualities we develop all of our lives until Jesus transforms us ultimately into His image when we meet Him in heaven. It takes time to become the man God wants us to become. Well, at this point, let's become very practical. Look at the suggestions in the section in your book on page 23, Thinking and Growing Together. If you haven't created or joined a group, would you take the lead in making it happen? May God bless you, and I'll join you again at the beginning of Chapter 2 entitled Building a Good Reputation.